Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. I am Jay Lee. This is Jay Lee's Corner, and this is our review for Queen Sugar. This is season 2, episode 12. Yes, I'm a little bit of a day late. I had to do 3 other shows yesterday, so Queen Sugar is being done right now. It was a very good episode, as always. I'm a big Queen Sugar fan, so let's just get started. The beginning of it starts off, we see Charlie on the phone with her mom. And her and Remy are like out in the park or whatever. And we see from the conversation, her and her mom relationship has changed a little bit. You know, before when she would talk about her mother or speak on her mother or anything, it was always I won't say a weirdness, but she was kind of standoffish about her mom. And even when her mom got there, she kind of was like, what are you doing? What are you doing here, Mom? And with this conversation, she's like, I'm so happy you came here, to be with us during this time. Thank you so much, and I love you. It was just a different, open, and just a more like open and loving conversation. You know what I'm saying? You can tell like some walls came down, and I like that. Even Remy says, I love seeing you with your mom. It kind of lets me into how you are a little bit. And she was like, well, like how? And he was like, that's for me to know, and your ass ain't gonna find out. But it was a very, very, very cute moment. They start kissing and everything. So we see that part. We see, Nova is out of town with Robert to do a TV show regarding the Zika outbreak that is potentially going to happen in Louisiana. And, they're preparing for this TV interview. And they're kind of playing off each other. And they kind of want to be a tag team so that the content of what they're there for isn't lost in translation. They don't want the narrative to be changed, basically. So, they're just kind of tossing points back and forth at each other. But he also gave her like a gift for her, little TV thing. It was some beautiful black pearls. I'm looking like, okay, Robert Dubois, do your thing for your girl. And I'm like, y'all know I keep saying that is going to be her future husband or ex-husband or future baby daddy. Because it's just, I'm like, I just think they should be together or whatever. So, when they get on camera, however, at least the part that we see, when I initially watched it, I didn't think anything was wrong or whatever. It wasn't until I had to keep watching it back. It's feeling so dark. It wasn't until I had to keep watching. I watched it back to see what is Nova so upset about. They were on camera, and he just didn't fully. I'm not gonna say he disagreed with her, but he kind of just challenged her a little bit, and it was entertaining. And she did not like that. She was just upset, and how she just kind of felt ambushed. She made a statement saying, how Louisiana is a petri dish for the Zika virus. And even the anchor said, well, that's, kind of harsh. And then Robert responded back like, it's almost hysterical. And are you calling me, hysterical? He's like, no, I'm calling your statement hysterical. And, he just wasn't, because it wasn't he wasn't agreeing with her. He just wasn't disagreeing. It was a weird dynamic, but I didn't see too much wrong with this. I kept rewinding and like listening to the words. I felt like he was just saying the word, because she kept using father neglect, and they were like, what does that mean? Even I didn't know what that meant. And so when he said the words you're saying can be misleading and it can be confusing more than anything else, and she felt like he demeaned her, was rude to her, or disrespectful to her, and kind of tore down how she was trying to get her point across. But I kind of agreed with him. Sometimes when you call something else, it can confuse people. And that's what I got by what he said. So after the whole thing, they're behind the scenes, and she's like, she's pissed. She's pissed. And, basically because he's saying, well, yeah, I kind of flipped the script a little bit because our interview was being boring. I wanted us to have some sound bites and to get it out there. And, now we're trending on Twitter. And people know that's usually what you want when you have a cause that you're trying to fight for. You want it to get people's attention. You know what I'm saying? You can't, and as he was saying, no one was paying attention. It was boring. And he like, so I kind of just, did it for us. She ain't like that at all. He like, can we talk? And she taking the pearls off. He like, can we go to dinner? Can we talk and calm down? We have a early flight. And she was like, "You not coming to Louisiana? I don't want you. You know, you ain't here for my people. I don't want you nowhere around us. You know, stay your ass here." And then of course she left, and he's upset because he didn't mean to upset her, but she was offended based on him as she felt ambushing her and just kind of not being in her corner. And he had his own reasons for doing it. So, and he did, but she did say to him, I'm forgetting, I'm recording sometimes. But no, he did say to her, no, she said to him, we can't be a team if you play with a different playbook. And that's true. Even when you are a team player, you want to let your team know what you're going to do. He was saying, well, I came up with it, and had I told you it would have seemed staged, I didn't want it to seem staged. And you kind of did look like it wasn't staged because it wasn't. She knew it was coming. But again, she's still pissed off. So we then see Ralph Angel and Darla at the diner, and they have gotten their marriage license. And so of course Iva's happy, and oh, that's great. You're gonna have the wedding at the church. Darla's like, no, we're gonna just go down to the judge. Go down to the courthouse. And Iva was like, oh, see, I made an appointment. And then Ralph Angel's like, see, I told you. She think we should do it like other people do too. And then she was like, no, that ain't what I'm saying. This is y'all thing, but just know if y'all change your mind, I'm always here. That's good to know. We shortly see David seeing a doctor. Now, I don't know if he was seeing an LA doctor, if he was seeing a Louisiana doctor. All I know is he was seeing a doctor, and he has to have surgery. It looks like on his hand. And he will be out of playing for 6 to 8 weeks, which means he'll probably miss the whole season. And he, of course, is just not okay with it. He's kind of thinking like, oh my God, it's a lot to deal with. And this is probably his first time dealing with an injury or surgery and things without his wife, without Charlie. So that probably has to also mess with him. So what do we see him do? He's calling Charlie. And what is Charlie doing? She not answering the phone because she out there with Remy planning the little festival and everything. So, they're in the field, talking about the layout, what the carnival games are going to be, what the rides are going to be, and in a great, great mood. Then, a Debbie Downer come pulling up, and it's some guy, and I'm like, man, who is you? Where you come from? And then she's like, hey, you were just planning the layout for the festival. And he like, oh yeah, there's been a mix-up, there was a scheduling conflict, and, you can't have a festival here. Excuse me, say what? What you say? Why can't I have it here? And then, Remy and both Charlie is like, what? We had an agreement, we had a contract. What are you talking about? Because again, the festival is the following day. It's the next day is tomorrow. And as he's like, it was a scheduling issue. And then who do we see pull up right after that? Landry's old snake ass. So then he's like, it's my fault. I'm sorry, but I'm having an auction here tomorrow, and I'm doing it to auction off all these farming equipment. So I'm doing it for the good of the farmers. He's a sneaky little old white man, okay? That's what he is. He's doing it because he, of course, does not like that Charlie is not backing down to him, basically. And she lets him know, you might be able to get away to get people who don't have a spine to do things, but, I have a backbone and I ain't going nowhere. And what I like when she said that, she said it clear as day. I'm not going nowhere. And then Remy just walked up beside like, yeah, she ain't going nowhere. Now he didn't say that, but he walked up beside her and just stood there, and his expression said it, okay? His stance said it. His demeanor said it. Like, you heard what she said, go ahead on somewhere. And I like when Remy is there for Charlie without having to say anything. It's just his presence is there. That's what I need, okay? Lord Jesus. So, next we see they are at the house trying to make phone calls because they need somewhere to have this festival. Of course, the festival is the next day. So, Remy makes a call to, like, the church. And he's like, we need to have a space for a festival. It's for tomorrow. He's like, oh, okay. And he hangs up the phone. And I need some water. Water. I couldn't think where my water was. That was so ghetto. My mouth was dry. So Charlie's like, oh, dang, we don't have a place to have it. But Remy was just playing with her. He then turns around, he smiles like, we booked the location. And she's happy, 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 happy because they want to have this festival because they're kind of just making it be about the community, coming together and just not having to be ashamed of your blackness when all this segregation and just blatant racism and just the unfairness of what the Landrys do to the community, basically. So, next we see Ralph Angel was having a meeting with Prosper. Now, Prosper, y'all know, is the older man who was friends with his daddy, and now he helps Ralph Angel on the farm. And, Prosper is basically letting him know that, this season, he's going to break even. And Ralph Angel like, what? What? Ralph Angel wants some money. And, Prosper like, well, that's good to break even. If, it's your first year you breaking even, that's actually really good. And that's with any new business, whether it's a YouTube business, whether it's a farming business, if you break even, if you don't spend more than you make, or you're not in the hole, and you don't take a loss within that first year, it's considered a success. Not all businesses make profit when you first start out. Sometimes it takes money to make money. You know what I'm saying? It takes a little time sometimes. Yes, it does. But, Ralph Angel was like, I thought I was going to make more money than that. And Prosper like, man, I wish, I broke even at least one of my years. See, like, the first 7 years, I had a loss every year. And they actually broke my land lease in the end for it. So Ralph Angel wasn't realizing him breaking even in that field of work is a positive. You don't always make money from it your first year. So, when Prosper said that, he kind of took into consideration how lucky he was that he doesn't owe, that he didn't take a loss. Because it's one thing to have a business and you don't make any money. It's something else to have a business and not only do you not make any money, you owe money because you had a loss. That's the crazy part. You broke even. You know what I'm saying? Maybe you made $5, but you don't owe anything. That's the good thing. And that really means that you also have money to start anew and you're not having to come out of pocket for anything else. So that was the good thing. Ralph Angel says, I'm sorry, I'm just shocked, that's all. I want to give Darla a wedding, and I think the reason she doesn't want to have a real wedding is because she thinks I can't afford it, because I can't. And I'm like, weddings can be simple. People, I think when you don't have money for things, you shouldn't try to break the bank or try to make ends meet. A wedding is a party for other people, okay? If you are in love with someone and you can't afford a wedding, don't break your bank. Don't take out loans. Don't borrow money from people. Take your ass down to the courthouse and get married. And then have a cool little party. Spend about $500. You know what I'm saying? Something little. And then in a couple of years when y'all are still married, have that big wedding. Then save up. But don't try to go broke for a wedding. That's stupid. So next we see Remy and Charlie, and they chilling in the house and everything, and they were like playing Scrabble, and then she won. She beat him by whatever many points, and so she climbed on top of him, and she's like, hi. And I'm like, that is so cute. It's the equivalent of getting in your partner's face and saying, I see you. You know what I'm saying? Not even a little sneaky I see you, but like, I see you. Hello. And I'm like, okay, Charlie, let them know the realness is coming through. Loved it. But as they sitting there kissing a little bit or whatever, we hear the door open. So, of course, Charlie jump off his lap because Micah, can't be nobody but Micah, walks in. But who does Micah walk in with? His daddy Davis. Yep, Davis is there too. So, Micah walks into his room and everything, and it's awkward, it's very awkward because, of course, I think this might be the first time Davis has seen Remy and Charlie in their couple-dom mode. You know what I'm saying? It was weird. And Remy, ain't holding him up. Remy not like, oh, my fault, I'm going to leave. No, Remy like, I'm going to sit here next to my girl. Hey, Davis, how you doing? What you want? You know what I'm saying? He sat next to Charlie, and it was just a thing. And, he then takes a call. Remy does. And then Charlie and Davis is talking, and she's like, well, you called me early. What was it about? And he's like, oh, I was trying to confirm, what time to drop Mike off. He lying. He wanted to tell her about his dang on surgery. But he can't now because Remy's there. So Remy come back in the room and he's like, I got bad news. The church isn't going to work out. And she's like, what? What happened? And he's like, Landry called the church and they got them worried about their insurance license. I'm like, the Landrys, is they Donald Trump? Like, what is going on here? You just getting all over the place. So, of course, Charlie's upset. And, because the funny part was right before that happened, she was telling Dave, was like, I'm going to have you pick Micah up from a different location because the location of the festival has changed. And he's like, well, what's wrong? And she's like, oh, nothing. It's a venue issue. But he's like, she said, but Remy saved the day. So, saying that 2 minutes prior, and now the location that Remy picked is not available, Dave was, I guess he think he can come in and be Captain Save him. He's like, well, how about y'all have it, remember we were in college and we had that little fair thing, and then we had this Destiny Child didn't show up, so we had to scale stuff down. And then she was like, so you think I should scale back the festival? And he was like, yeah, you don't have to have all the extra stuff. Because she wanted a big venue to have carnival rides and all this, games, and to have a real carnival. And, but no, she couldn't get the space anywhere. So he's like, let's have something simple. Maybe even have it at the farm. And then Remy's like, nah, it's harvest time. We can't do that. But we can probably try Aunt Vi's house. Because Aunt Vi has, a nice little set of property. And she was like, it just might work. So that's what they're going to end up trying to do. So next we see that Nova's back in town. And they're at Aunt Vi's house getting ready for this festival. And Aunt Vi made a little crown. Okay, Aunt Vi being, crafty up in here. So she walks away and everything, and then Nova and Charlie left talking. So of course Charlie's like, where is he? Where's Robert? Because they haven't met Robert yet. And she's like, I told him don't come. And she's like, what happened? And then she's like, oh, so I guess you didn't watch me on TV. And she was like, no, I did. Y'all were great. I thought it was a great thing. You were a little dry at the beginning, but you brought it home towards the end. And she was like, you didn't feel like he was being disrespectful or dismissive? And she was like, no. She was like, y'all can't be on TV basically agreeing. That's not good TV. No one watches TV for everyone to agree. I felt like the conversation and the way you guys had it was right for that particular time. Meaning, I didn't see nothing wrong with it. So she then says, she said, I'm glad that you switched it up towards the end. And she said that was actually his idea and he didn't tell me. So Charlie did say, well, that wasn't nice. And I would have told him that if I ever meet him. Meaning you cut him off so fast that we don't even get a chance to see him and tell him what we think could be or should be wrong. And then Charlie said, that wasn't nice, but, you got your point out. You got your word out. You got your message out. And that's what really matters. So you can see Nova kind of thinking like, she's kind of right. Like, I didn't like how he did it, but what he did got the message out. So she's kind of having those kind of aha moments in her head. You can see that the wheels are turning. So we then see that, Charlie's freaking out because kind of everything is going wrong with this festival thing. Because now at Aunt Vi's house, it's about the rain, so the festival can't be outside. All of her catering trucks and different trucks that are bringing things in can't get through because it's construction. And we know there's Landry who's blocking her trucks from coming in. So, of course, she's just feeling overwhelmed. She's like, I can't believe this. The caterers can't get here. The games can't get here. It's just a mess. It's about the rain. We should just cancel the whole thing. And they was like, no. Let's just have it at the meal. That's the inside place. We can go, get it fixed up. We can just make some food, make it easy. Davis is even there, and Davis says, yeah, I can, maybe have Tamara sing. And, Tamara's the girl he dating. Mm-hmm. So they're like, really? You can? Really? You can pull that off? And he was like, yeah. But he looked nervous, and even Charlie looked like, how are you going to pull that off? Because, of course, she's like, how do you even know that girl? Is she one of your prostitutes? But, of course, they don't have that conversation. So they do end up changing the venue to the mill. And at that particular point, we see Ralph Angel and Hollywood having a conversation. Because they're there, setting up and everything. And Ralph Angel was basically saying how he's still dealing with the fact that he did not make any money this particular season. It's hard to drink water with your lipstick on. So, Hollywood is saying, like, you might have to get a second job. That could be the thing that you have to do. And, Rough Angel, like, well, that's not so easy, because we know Rough Angel has a criminal past. I think he's still on probation or still on parole at the parole officer. So Hollywood then says, where I work at, it's a guy who got a history, and he works the midnight shift, and he do something with like shrimp or some kind of seafood, something that he said, but it's kind of, backbreaking work or whatever, but it's a second job. And Rough Angel like, yeah, I heard about that, you break your back and you come and you stink because of this fish. And then, Hollywood has an honest statement for him. He was like, look, if you want to take care of Darla, take care of that woman, it's going to take some sacrifice. Trust me, I know. Meaning you can't have all these high standards of what you won't do when you already struggling. The reason you're struggling is because you refuse to do what needs to be done to get to a better place in your life. And, he says something like, I'm going to get that number for you. What you do with it is on you. But, you need to make a decision on what you want to do. I thought that was a good conversation, because it just, Ralph Angel, as sexy as Ralph Angel is, he's still the youngest one. He's still the baby. And sometimes I forget how young he is until he does stuff like this, which is kind of, young-minded. But, hopefully he's growing up. So, we do see the festival going on. Everyone's having a good time. But Charlie ass looked nervous. And I'm like, is she looking nervous? Is she looking nervous because the Tamar girl or the Tamar girl, Tamar, really? But the Tamar girl is singing, and she kind of looking at her. I'm looking like she can't be jealous because David's got a boo. Because you got a whole boo in Remy, and you been had a whole boo in Remy. But, Remy come up to like, what's wrong? Everybody's having a good time. Why you over here moping? And she's like, I just, the place, it was ruined. We can't do this. We didn't have that. We didn't have games. We didn't have this. And he like, look around. Everyone's having a great time. Nova then walks up and kind of tells her the same thing. So Remy's like, stop selling yourself short. This was a success. Nova says to her, like, no one cares about what's not here. No one cares that it's not a Ferris wheel. No one cares that it's not games and all this extra stuff. Everyone here is having a good time, and you have to realize that the festival, to them, it matters. You know what I'm saying? Wait, what she say? Oh, she said you don't have to have a sorry, I was punching my hands. You don't have to have a festival like theirs to make it matter. Meaning, as big as the Landry's festival is, they have all this stuff, and we get that's what you wanted it to be, but it doesn't have to be the way they do it in order for it to be a success. She was like, the community is full, the community is fed, and not in food, but in their spirit, in their body, and in their soul, because they're all here, and they're all, eating it up. They're eating it up, and they're just enjoying themselves and their community. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So then she kind of lets go, and she goes to dance with Remy. We see Aunt Vi and Darla have a bit of a little conversation. Darla comes in and she's crying. I'm looking like, oh my God, why is she crying? What did Ralph Angel do? Did she get high? Darla, what's wrong? But what's wrong, Darla? But she is in a mood of nervousness because her mother called her back. Her parents called her, and they haven't talked in 6 years. And she says how they want to come to the wedding. I'm really nervous. As much as I've changed, my dad sometimes only see what he wants to see. Meaning, I could have did a complete 180, and he would still see me for the same drug addicted person selling their body for money for drugs. He can still see that no matter how much I am no longer that. So for that reason alone, I'm nervous, because what if he doesn't accept who I am now? And Darla is so sensitive. I swear she is. She's the strongest sensitive person I've ever seen, to where she cares what her family thinks of her because they've been estranged for so long. But I think the same way that she told Ralph Angel, you need to accept me for who I am now, or we can't get married. It's the same thing she told her parents. Accept me for who I am now, or you don't have to be in my life. So I hope, that comes next episode. Our Vi says to her, they'll see how far you come. You're clean, and you've been clean for a while, and you're great when it's a blue. And if they don't see that, then that's on them. But don't you take in anything of what they're putting out about you, because it's not true. And, that's really a good thing. Aunt Vi then goes into it. She said, I met my first husband at this festival years ago. And I thought he was, the best thing on earth. And one day, he started hitting me. And it went on for a long time. And even after Ernest ran him off and we weren't together anymore, the people in the community still looked at me a certain kind of way. And she was like, for a long time, I wanted to hide away to not deal with how people looked at me. But I realized I couldn't do that anymore. And she was like, don't you go and you try to hide. Meaning, your past isn't your future. Your past isn't even your present if you don't allow it to be your present. You can't hide away yourself thinking, if I stay hidden enough, if no one sees me, I'm okay. And I don't have to face what they think about me. And I thought that was a really powerful thing to say, because it's true. That's how a lot of people feel this in life. Whether it's people with mental illness, people who are overweight, people who are too skinny, people who are too black, people who are too white, or whatever their ailments or their thing is. Some people would rather fade away and hide away from past mistakes. And she was just saying, I didn't hide away from mine. You shouldn't hide away from yours. I thought that was a really great conversation. She also tells her, if you want to have that wedding, my offer still stands about helping y'all have a real wedding. So I think that's a beautiful thing. We then see Charlie, speak at the festival, saying how it was, a great thing to get done. She thanked her family who had helped her. She thanked Davis and his team who had came to support. She thanked the girl tomorrow came to sing. And she then she's like, I want to thank the person who's been the most supportive and by my side, Remy. Come on up here, Remy. Come on up here, Remy. And Remy came up and everything. And he like, oh, no, no. Because as much as he is by her side, he's like, I don't need the spotlight. You know what I'm saying? I want to give it to you, boo-boo. I don't want you to think that I'm here for that. But he come up and she gives him a kiss in front of everybody, including Davis. I'm thinking like, okay, Charlie and Remy, you know what I'm saying? Solidify that dang on relationship. They then crown the queen, the brown sugar queen. And it ends up being Kiki, who is Micah's girlfriend. Now, my thing, what I said was, is that fair that the first winner of this pageant is the girlfriend of is her? Because, like, I'm like, well, of course you won. Your boyfriend mama, your boyfriend mama and your boyfriend daddy and your boyfriend mama's boyfriend planned all this. Of course you won. But it is what it is. So, but yeah, congrats to Kiki. Next we see Robert has showed up anyway to this thing on festival. Yes, he is came to get his Nova. So they're in the back having a conversation. And, he's just saying how he'll do whatever he can to fix it. That he he was wrong. And, can we fix this? Again, he loves him some Nova. He does. He really, really does. The question is, are they compatible based on the way they want to go about change? They have two different approaches. And, she says, if this is going to work, we have to be in this together. We have to be a team. And, you can't be using me as a chess piece. And he's like, that's not how I see it. I see it completely different. Everything I want for me, I want for us. And, you're very special. You're brilliant. And that's why I love you. I'm like, okay. He loved him some Nova. And, she's like, what? I think Nova loves Robert back. I think she's also so much her own woman that sometimes she can't see that someone else's suggestion on a change isn't them trying to change her, but it is a little bit to broaden her horizon. He also says how, if we play this right, we can be the face of the movement. And she's like, I don't think the face at times I don't think the movement deserves a face. And that's true. A lot of movements isn't about one particular person. You don't want to be the face of the movement. And she was saying like, the movement should be the people. It shouldn't be about one particular person or anything. It should not have a face. It should be about the movement. And that's why I say they have two different approaches on how they want to go about this. He wants it to be about them. He wants them to push this agenda. And if we get out in front of the cameras enough, it can be that, and we can be the face of this movement. Whereas she wants the movement to happen, but she doesn't want to be focused on her per se. And, he then said, how he loves her. He asked, like, be honest. did you really see yourself living in the ninth ward your whole life? And she's like, say what now? Say what now? And he's like, I know that sounds offensive, but don't feel guilty about if you wanted to leave. You could do so much more if you just, explored, basically. And she's like, you don't know me if you think to ask me that kind of question. Like, no, I do know you. And she was like, no, she then said, beautiful, beautiful thing. I shouldn't have to disappear into you to make us work, which is so true. But also, I think she might have misconstrued what he was saying. I don't at all think Nova should concede and be exactly what he wants her to be. But I do understand him wanting her to try different things. And she was like, you've been trying to change me or make me step outside of myself since I met you. And, he like, because I know what you could be. And she was like, you know what? You a good man, but you're just not a good man for me. You know what I'm saying? I don't need your dream. I don't need you to dream for me. I have my own. And I'm like, okay, Nova, speak your piece. She's like, I'm done talking. There's nothing else to talk about. You should leave. And he does end up leaving. I just like how that she spoke her piece and he spoke his piece a little bit. I don't think that's the end of their story. But I'm happy that she made her thoughts clear to him so that if he comes back, he should know it's, either let her be the way she is for right now or don't, Darla and Ralph Angel are going to have a real wedding. That's really easy because she told him that her father called, or her parents called, and she was able to talk to him, and they're going to be at the wedding. So now she wants to have a wedding. The last scene is, David's coming to see Charlie. And, seeing how, she's like, what you did a lot for me today. I'm so happy about it. Thank you. It went from that to, he's like, I'm leaving for LA. And she was like, okay. And he's like, you're not going to ask me why? And she was like, that's no longer my, responsibility. That's no longer my place to do that anymore. And then he's like, okay. And they're both kind of looking at each other weirdly. But then he said, tomorrow it's not a big deal, right? That's really nothing. And she was like, okay. Remy's a big deal. He's a really big deal. I'm like, yes, okay, let Davis know ain't no more y'all. I think Davis is scared. And that's the reason he's trying to get Charlie all confused. Like, okay, she not no big deal, so if you want to be with me, it's okay. No. She might not be a big deal, but Remy is. And it's a real thing. And, as he's walking away, he walks away to leave. And then he stops and he comes back and he says, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for all of it, And then he leaves. I'm like, okay, Davis. You finally wholeheartedly apologized for it. And I loved it. It was a great ending to this particular episode. So that is our review of Queen Sugar Season 2, Episode something. I can't think of what it is right now. Episode 12. So, until next time, people, I am Jay Lee. This is Jay Lee. I'm so tongue-tied. I just need some water. I'll talk to y'all later.